On the night of February 15th, 2016, fog blanketed the town like a blanket. Even the yellow light of the street lamps disappeared in this fog, and the shadows stretched and twisted. A little past 11:30 p.m., a scream from the fourth floor of the apartment building shattered the silence. A horrific murder of a woman took place in this apartment building. Watch the story to the end, because one secret led to two murders. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and like our video. Some secrets, even if buried in the ground, eventually rise to the surface again. This is the story of a secret that had been hidden for 10 years, that people tried to forget. But one night, it was suddenly written in blood again. The old apartment building outside the town had been neglected for years. Only a few families lived in this building, whose walls were darkened by dampness, most of whose windows were broken and whose stairs creaked. People called this apartment building the silent apartment building, because most of the apartments were either empty or occupied by reclusive people. On the night of February 15th, 2016, fog covered the town like a blanket. Even the yellow light of the street lamps was lost in this fog, and the shadows stretched and twisted. A little past 11:30 p.m., a scream from the fourth floor of the apartment building shattered the silence. The scream was short, but chilling. It was a woman's voice. Then a deep silence fell. The neighbors downstairs rushed to the door in a panic. They rang the bell, knocked, and called out repeatedly, "Jessica, open the door! Are you okay? Answer us!" But there was no response from inside. The door was locked from the inside. As the minutes passed, the panic grew. Someone called the police. When the police arrived, they broke down the door, and then the scene that froze everyone's blood unfolded. The apartment was dimly lit. In the middle, on the living room carpet, lay a young woman. 26-year-old Jessica, her eyes wide open, as if frozen in the moment of death by what she had seen. Her face wore an expression of horror mixed with confusion. Blood flowing from her chest had stained the carpet a deep red. A broken wineglass glinted beside her. There was a handprint on the wall, as if drawn in blood. A note had been hastily left on the table. "It was too late when I learned the truth. You think everything makes sense in the middle of the story. But there's one more thing. Someone must have known everything, or perhaps should have known." There was another secret waiting to explode at any moment. One of the police officers involuntarily stepped back, while the others carefully examined the note. The police team and the crime scene investigation team quickly examined the apartment. Commissioner Bruce, with his 20 years of experience, stood in the middle of the room, carefully scanning his surroundings. "Commissioner Bruce, this is not a suicide. There's another story here." The crime scene expert took the note in his hand. He held the paper carefully up to the light. Crime scene investigator. "The writing isn't Jessica's. It looks like it was written in a hurry, with the left hand. The letters are irregular." Commissioner Bruce took the note and looked at it for a long time. A message. But whose message? The victim's or the killer's? Another police officer examined the broken glass and shook his head. "No fingerprints. It's been cleaned. Clearly handled professionally." Someone else was photographing the bloody handprint on the wall. "Commissioner, this handprint doesn't belong to Jessica. Judging by the size and lines, it looks like a man's hand." Commissioner Bruce's gaze hardened. So someone was here, and they managed to get out. Then he bent over the body. Jessica's fingers had red scratches. Her fingernails were filled with dirt. Commissioner Bruce. She struggled. She fought until the very end, The killer must have left traces. Take samples from her fingernails. The crime scene team collected blood samples, DNA, fingerprints, every detail. The silence in the room was broken only by the sound of camera shutters. And one more detail. Jessica's laptop was open on the table. There was a strange folder on the screen. Its name was Truth. It was password protected. Commissioner Bruce looked at the folder, then muttered quietly, "The truth. What truth did you learn, Jessica?" No one knew it at the time, but this folder would reopen a case that had been closed 10 years ago. After Jessica's funeral, a deep silence reigned in the apartment building. However, this silence would turn into a storm in the interrogation rooms of the police station. Commissioner Bruce looked at the file on his desk. There were 3 names in it: Adrian, Jack, and Diana. All people close to Jessica's life, and all of them could have been involved in this death in some way. Understanding the truth behind Jessica's murder was like getting lost in a maze. Sometimes, finding out who the killer is can be more dangerous than uncovering the killer's past. A 30-year-old, unemployed, with poor anger management, a jealous person. He had been with Jessica for a year. However, cracks had recently appeared in their relationship. The police found a message on Jack's phone, sent just a few hours before her death. "I know what you're hiding from me. If you lie to me, it will be bad." This threatening message made Jack the prime suspect. Interrogation room. Interrogation room. Jack. "Commissioner, I didn't kill Jessica. Yes, we fought because she was hiding things from me, but I would never hurt her." Commissioner Bruce narrowed his eyes. "You had a fight. You sent a threatening message, and hours later, Jessica was found dead. You're going to explain this to me." Jack slammed his hands on the table. "Fine. I was jealous. I thought she was seeing someone else, but I'm not the killer." 29 years old, childhood friend. Jessica and he had been inseparable for years, but neighbors had seen the two of them arguing violently in front of the apartment building 2 days earlier. Interrogation room. Diana. "Yes, we argued, because she didn't trust me. He was always investigating things. He wouldn't even tell me. But I didn't kill him. All I can do is mourn him." Commissioner Bruce took notes. "What were you arguing about?" Diana looked away. "He had found out something about the past. He wouldn't even tell me. He just said, 'You wouldn't understand.'" 62 years old. A man who lived alone. He lived on the 3rd floor of the apartment building. He was quiet, never talked to anyone. But when the police searched his home, they found strange things. Newspaper clippings about a woman who disappeared in 2008, yellowed, torn photographs, and an old diary. On the pages of the diary was written, "Sometimes the past is never buried." Interrogation room. Adrian. Commissioner Bruce opened the file. "Why are you keeping dozens of clippings about a woman who disappeared 10 years ago?" Adrian's face was stone-like. "An old curiosity. I like to read newspapers, that's all." Commissioner Bruce leaned forward, his eyes fixed on Adrian's. "Or to hide secrets from the past." Adrian was silent. Only a cold smile settled on his lips. Commissioner Bruce returned to his desk. 3 names, 3 different possibilities. But which one was true? And most importantly, why had Jessica opened a folder named The Truth before she died? Jessica's computer was taken for forensic examination. Experts spent hours trying to open the folder. The password was complex, But it was finally cracked. There were dozens of files inside the folder. They all focused on one subject: Maria, who disappeared in 2008. Maria lived in the same apartment building at the time. She was 24 years old. One morning she left home to go to work and never returned. Her family searched for months. The police investigated the case, but no trace was found. The folder contained information Jessica had gathered: police reports, news clippings from old newspapers, secret interviews with neighbors, and most importantly, an audio recording. Maria's trembling voice could be heard on the recording. "He's watching me. Someone in the apartment building is constantly following me. If something happens to me one day, know that it's no coincidence." This recording must have horrified Jessica. Maybe that's why she started investigating. But unfortunately, the same thing that happened to Maria happened to her too. Commissioner Bruce closed the files, so Jessica reopened the unsolved case from 10 years ago. And that's why she was silenced. As the investigation deepened, suspicions increasingly focused on Adrian. When Adrian's past was examined, shocking details emerged. He was married years ago. However, his wife had mysteriously disappeared. There was never a divorce record. Only the woman had vanished. Neighbors said they had been hearing strange noises coming from the basement of the apartment building for years. One evening, the police secretly entered the apartment building. When they opened the basement door, a heavy smell of dampness hit their noses. The floors were covered in dust. But in one corner, an old iron chest caught their eye. When the chest was opened, the scene inside shocked even the police. Women's shoes, rusty chains, a blood-stained scarf. When DNA testing was done, it was confirmed that the scarf belonged to Maria, who had disappeared in 2008. Commissioner Bruce froze in front of the chest. This isn't just a routine missing persons case. This is a serial murder case. The basement was dark. Rain tapped lightly on the windows, and the musty smell of dampness, growing like mold on the walls, enveloped everything. This part of the apartment building was used only for storage, and no one stayed here for long. However, after thinking more about Adrian's strange behavior and the files on Maria, who disappeared in 2008, the police decided to investigate the basement. As Commissioner Bruce and his team moved step by step through the basement, the echo of every sound made them feel that something bad was about to happen. In one corner was an old chest, a darkened, rusted piece of metal. The chest looked as if it hadn't been touched in years, covered in dirt. Commissioner Bruce took a deep breath and opened the lid. Inside, there were women's shoes, belonging to a brand manufactured in 2008, and they looked unworn. Rusty chains were attached to the edge of the chest. It resembled an old torture device. A blood-stained scarf had been placed in the box. They slowly removed the scarf and immediately sent it to the lab. Tests confirmed that the scarf belonged to Maria. But the most striking thing was another detail the police noticed. The box could have belonged not only to Maria, but to another woman as well. Commissioner Bruce stood silently at the head of the box for a long time. Someone is hiding a secret here. But who? Adrian was very interested in the past he had hidden in the depths of the basement. These secrets became more and more terrifying with each passing day. When Adrian was taken in for police questioning, he initially denied everything. But as the pressure mounted, he slowly began to confess the truth. Commissioner Bruce leaned on the edge of the table where he sat during the interrogation. His eyes locked on Adrian's. Everything was one step closer to uncovering the truth. Adrian, calmly, but emotionlessly. In 2008, I had a secret relationship with Maria. I was married at the time, but... Commissioner Bruce interrupting. Did you kill her because you hid your marriage? Adrian, lowering his head. Maria knew too much. That day, she found out who I was, and she started threatening me. I was scared. That's why I killed her, and hid her in the basement. Commissioner Bruce leaned back in his chair and took a deep breath. Then Jessica. Was she killed because she found out the truth too? Adrian's eyes drifted into the distance. He shook his head slowly and continued. Jessica was investigating. She had gathered information about Maria's disappearance. She must have found something, but I don't know what. With all that investigation, her death was inevitable. Commissioner Bruce took another step toward Adrian. Killing Maria and Jessica wasn't just a coincidence. It was a chain of events. But there's something else. Jessica left a file on her computer called The Truth. She found all the files related to Maria's disappearance. But she died before she could reach you. What was in that file? Adrian remained silent and did not answer. Commissioner Bruce gripped the arm of his chair tightly and did not take his eyes off Adrian. The truth will come out, Adrian. No matter what you do now, there's no escape. After Jessica's death, the police decided to review everything again. This time from the beginning, down to the smallest details. Some of the evidence at the scene was still missing. Some fingerprints, smudged marks on the broken glass. Everything would be the most important clue in the hands of the police. Forensic experts examined DNA samples taken from under Jessica's fingernails. And as a result of this examination, something shocking came to light. The DNA samples did not belong to Adrian. However, a DNA sample belonging to Jack was found. Commissioner Bruce, taking a deep breath. So Jack was there. Did he fight with Jessica and then she died? This new information shook up the entire investigation. They decided to question Jack once again. Jack's suspicious behavior, such as the strange movements of a car entering and leaving the garage in the morning, indicated that everything was starting to connect. Interrogation room. Jack. Commissioner, I didn't kill her. Yes, I was there, but Jessica. I didn't kill her. She was on the floor when I found her. I was scared, because I had already made so many mistakes. Commissioner Bruce, calmly. You knew what you were doing, didn't you? But killing someone and keeping quiet makes you a murderer too, Jack. The day of the trial arrived. The courtroom was packed. Commissioner Bruce and his team could feel the tension in the room. Everyone was waiting to find out who killed Maria, who had been missing for years, and Jessica, who had died a week ago. Prosecutor, loudly. Defendant Adrian is the murderer of not one, but two people. He killed Maria and Jessica. The suspect in both murders is clear. The evidence is there. Adrian's lawyer responded loudly. These allegations are completely unfounded. My client has lived for years without committing any crime. We have no concrete evidence. Commissioner Bruce, turning to the prosecutor. We have conclusive evidence. A scarf belonging to Maria was found in Adrian's basement, dating back to the time she disappeared. Furthermore, Jack's DNA samples indicate his involvement in Jessica's death. Adrian remained silent in court for a while. Then, staring at the ceiling, he said, "It's hard to keep all the secrets. But if you want to know something, it was all true. I did it because I was afraid everything would come out." The trial concluded. Adrian was sentenced to life in prison. Jack received 5 years for concealing the crime. Diana was released after questioning. However, everything that reminded her of how difficult life was flashed before her eyes. But before the case was closed, there was one more thing. Another file was found on Adrian's computer. List of secrets. The file's password still hasn't been cracked. While Commissioner Bruce was reviewing the files one last time, he noticed something. There was a new file in the file list on Adrian's computer. Crack the password.
And there's one more file, a password waiting to be cracked. The truth is, sometimes a very difficult door to open. Who knows how much danger lies behind those secrets? But no one has cracked this code. Many secrets came to light, but this was just the beginning. Adrian's dark past came to light, but something was still missing. Maybe one day, the list of secrets will be opened, but no one knows how far back they would have to go. A complex web, when it begins to unravel, everything connects at some point. The list of secrets is like a labyrinth, closed to everyone. Perhaps no one can ever learn the whole truth. This incident shows us once again that no crime remains hidden. To make sure you don't miss out on these mysterious and terrifying true stories, please subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to like and comment on our video. If you want to watch more mysterious and terrifying events, we'll see you in our next videos.